Hi, friends. Happy Monday. We're almost to Thanksgiving. I hope you guys have all your plans squared up and you're going to be surrounded by your family members and those friends. Maybe you're having a Friendsgiving, but I hope more than anything is that you are finding things to be thankful for this Thanksgiving. So I'm definitely thankful for family. I'm thankful for my husband, my children, um, obviously all the blessings Lord have given us. So this is going to be a really thought-provoking Thanksgiving because we have all kinds of things ahead of us with my husband's surgeries and such. So anyway, today we're going to do some little gift bags that can be for Christmas or for whatever holiday you'd like. And we're going to be using the gift bag combo pack. So it comes with um, 16 little bags, so there's 8 of each, and they are these two sizes, which is a little bit bigger than an A2 card. So the larger one is 4.5 by 5 3/4, and the smaller one is approximately 3 1/4 by a little bigger than 3.5. So these are the two little gift bags that we're going to make today. And as you can see, they're super sweet. Oh, hey, Judy. Thanks for joining me. Just super sweet. And the fun thing about these little bags is you can apply a card front to it. You don't have to, recreate the wheel. And I love that this just so easily comes together. So these two little car bags, I've got like a bunch of little Ghirardelli squares in here, a couple of caramels, and you could make this a fall theme, and I think it'd make a great placeholder for fall. And I just might put some together for that. Or you can have them for Christmas. This one is just a great little size. I have a bunch of Ghirardelli squares in here, as you can see, but it's got so much more room, and so just all kinds of things. So this is about a little over two, or about 2.5 inches deep, and this one is almost 2 inches deep. So there's really actually a lot of size that can go into these gift bags. Okay, so let's show you how to put this together. All right, so we've got the wintry treetop, and I'm using the Nests of Winter Sweet Collection for their cardstock. So as you can see, I've got barely any of this one left. Um, really wonderful colors. I love them. And this was something that it's got all kinds of uses for it. I've made some beautiful cards in the past, you may recall, but I'm using their DSP primarily for the birds and some of the pretty background. So, okay, so for the first one, we'll do this little one here. And we're going to use the smallest bag. And like I said, it's around around 3 3/8 wide by 3 5/8 deep or tall. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using the wintry treetop dies, and they have this die here, which does this really cool background for a fir, like it's in a little fir tree. And then we're also going to use these little bird dies. And then also we'll be using the die for this as well. Okay, so for this piece here, because this bag is a little bit smaller than this, um, what I'm doing is I am placing it so that I've got 3 sides that are really close to to the edge. So you can see where it cuts on the inside edge, not on the outside edge. So I'm going to place it, and the way that I'm going to keep it there is I'm going to use these Post-it tape. And so once I get the cardstock on the inside where I want it, so as you can see, I'm trying to make sure that the top and the left and the right are exactly in the same location on this die, okay? Because I want it to be really close to the edge, but not too close that it cuts it to, just gonna have to readjust again. There we go. Okay, so this kind of keeps it in place. And if you're feeling like it's not stable, then you can add another one. Probably wouldn't hurt. Because I want it centered side to side and then on that top edge as well. So let's just check again, make sure everything's where I want it. Okay, just going to use my little Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And just as a reminder, for these, the smaller one, I always stagger my plates like this. So it's like the cheese or the bologna's hanging out one end. That means the inside piece is hanging out one end because it just doesn't do very well otherwise. And then we're gonna probably have, because this is square, it's gonna really pop. So it's gonna fight. And I've had this shoot across the room, so I'm gonna kind of hold on to it so we don't take out any of my tools. All right. And it looks like I need to go through again because some of the area didn't cut as well as it needs to. So let me just put it through again. I actually did that upside down. I don't ever do that. Okay, looks good. All right. So while I've got this machine out, let's go ahead and do the birds. So these cute little birds on this designer series paper cut out so nicely with the dies. In other words, I don't have to fussy cut them out. I can actually just place the dies right over the top. Just reuse this same piece. Okay, so I'm just going to line up this little bird, and I tend to try to line up the tail and then line up the beak, and that's usually a good way to get it where you want it. Okay, so I'm going to put this one in here, and then this little bird, and these two birds are the only two birds on the entire sheet, and they all are able to be die cut out, which makes it really cool. The only sad part is it's one of my favorite papers. So I love this pattern. So it's like choosing which way you're going to go. Makes me sad to have to choose between the two papers. Okay. So let me just make sure I've got this situated the way I want it. Okay. All right, so I'm going to not take this out. Okay, I'm going to leave this here just like this. And what I want to do is I want to glue it to this piece. And the only part that I'm going to glue is around the edge. Okay, so you can see that I'm just doing it around the edge. And I'm going to use my little needle size glue to make sure that I don't get it everywhere I don't want it. Because I just want to glue primarily around the edge. And I don't want it to come apart before I'm ready. So it's easier to put it together like so. All right, so let's adjust it. where we want it. Okay. And then when I have it where I need it, then I can pull this off. And it doesn't want to give in this one little corner. There we go. So you can see this is a little bit bigger than what I need, but I just wanted to make sure I had plenty of space. And I've got one little area that didn't pop out, and that's okay. All right. So now this is glued on, and then I just need a tiny little strip of this paper. Maybe like 1/8 of an inch. Just pretty much to match the border around the edge. Before I do that, I should probably make sure. So I'm going to have it so that this part is the top. And so let's glue this on first before I cut anything else off. So this is going to cover the entire bag front. And then I can take my scissors and I can just snip off the little bit that's not needed at the bottom. Don't want to cut the bag. And then I can glue this little piece along the base. And that way it has a nice little frame all the way around. And no one needs to know that this piece didn't fit the die. Because I don't know if that's the first thing you noticed with this. I sure didn't. So, okay. So now we can work on adding the other elements. So we have this bird perfectly cut out. And let's just put this one aside so that it's out of the way. Okay. And so now we need a sentiment. So we're going to use the Thinking of You Always that is in this wintry treetop. Oh, that was a little bit too small. And I want to use the cherry cobbler this time. Okay, so I've got a little piece of cardstock, and this is like 3/8 inch, and I don't need it as long as it is. But I'm just going to put my sentiment to the left side. Uh-oh, good thing there's two sides. There we go. That looks good. Let me just put this aside so I don't accidentally put my hand in it. And then I'm going to figure out about how much I want. So I'm going to actually flag this one. So I'm going to cut it off about there. And I'm going to just flag this. And I've showed you this before where you just kind of choose the middle of your paper. And then you can easily flag it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to layer it on a piece of cherry cobbler. And this is a 1 inch, or it's actually 7/8 inch. And let's just glue the sentiment to the cardstock. And then I can cut off. And again, I'm just going to cut a little bit longer than I need. And then you can just follow the snip that I did before without any problems. We've got a great little flagged sentiment. Okay, so I'm going to pop this up with some Stampin' Dimensionals. And you can actually make it so that it sits off the side of the bag, because it's not like your bag is going into something smaller. And then just a couple of dimensionals. And then I can actually make my bird sit on top and also stick off. So it's kind of nice when you do it both ways. And then I'm going to use these are the Cherry Cobbler Pearl adhesives. Cherry Cobbler and Pearl adhesives. So I think I'll stick this here. And then I can put a couple of the pearl ones there. So isn't that cute? Just super easy. Really cute. Okay, so that's the first one. And then we've got the second one. I'll put that there so you can see it. Okay, so this is the bigger bag. Let me get rid of some of this trash here. All right, so this one, again, I'm just treating it like an A2 card. And so instead of using 2 layers of the Pool Party, which is the color of this background, I'm actually going to try a piece of Cherry Cobbler because I'd really like to have the red pop up just a bit more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a 5.5 by 4 1/4 piece of cardstock. So this would be like an A2 card front, and it fits just perfectly on this bag front. So I'm just centering it, leaving about 1/4 inch border all the way around it. And then this is the Lost Lagoon, which I think some of those colors in the bird's feathers and crown work as well. So I love the birds in this Nests of Winter suite. It's just so pretty. Okay. And then I've got a piece of this designer series paper, which having to glue on some birds, but it's worth it for the very beautiful background. It's just so pretty. Okay. So now what I need to do is I need to cut out a tag. So this tag is from the Greetings of the Season dies, and that's part of the Seasons of Green and Gold. So we're going to just cut this out real quick. And so you'll see me flip my plates ever so often because I want my plates to continue to stay straight and not bow. So if you see it start to bow, you should turn it over, but I try to turn it over like every other time or every couple of times because I think that works best for your plates. Okay, so this really beautiful tag, what I'm going to do to it next is I'm going to emboss it. So I am going to emboss it with the, where is it? I had it here. Here it is. Okay, so I'm going to use the Snowflake Sky 3D embossing folder. Isn't that beautiful? Just really, really pretty. And I know that it's saying, the snowflake sky, but I actually want my snowflakes to be a little bit and then more down at the bottom. So I am going to put it in like so. And you can actually just kind of choose where you have your snowflakes. And that way you can kind of aim them where you'd like them. And then I'm going to need to put it through my large cut and emboss machine. So I'll put this over here because there's not really enough room on my desktop. I'm hoping you had a great weekend. Mine was wonderful. Got to spend so much time with friends. Looks like I did it backwards. So this tag is a little backwards, but that's okay. But you can see these really beautiful snowflakes. Isn't that pretty? Just 3D. So pretty. Really nice. Okay. So that's just one little extra. And then I am using for this one I use the old retired buffalo check, but this one I'm going to use the large check ribbon. And the great thing about it is if it's not the color that you want it to be, you can easily just use a scrap. And I only need, let's just measure it so that I'm doing it right. So about 6 inches, probably less than that. 5 inches is probably sufficient. And I'm going to use my red blend. These are alcohol, and they color your ribbon wonderfully. So I just want, oops, I should have probably made this cherry cobbler. I used real red last time. Let's see if I've got my cherry cobbler handy. I'm going to use my dark cherry cobbler. I think I'll like the color better because it turned out a little darker red the last time. Oh yeah, that's way better. Really rich cherry cobbler. Looks like it does both sides really well. I don't need to do anything more. Okay. So now it's just a matter of threading it through. And then you want to thread it through again so you can see what I did. And then I'm going to thread it through this and pull it through so it makes it into a tag. Okay. And then I'm going to cut some of this off so it's nice and fresh. Okay. So the next thing I need to do is I need to stamp my sentiment, and I need to stamp also this really pretty garland. So let me just put my front over here, get my dies out of the way. I will need this one. I know this stamp block is not available any longer, but all right, I'm going to do this with black so that I can use my blends to color it. There we go. Just need to clean it off. Okay. All right, and then to create my sentiment, I am going to use Pool Party, and I want to use Let's Decorate the Season with Happiness. And that way it gives it kind of a Christmas feel, but you don't have to necessarily, oops, wrong one. It doesn't have to necessarily be a gift that is for Christmas. It can also be a birthday gift. So if you know somebody that's having a birthday in December, which my birthday's coming up, my husband's as well. I feel so bad for him. He has to have a surgery the day after his birthday. Okay, and then I am again going to use one of the dies from this Greeting of the Season dies. I love this oval die so much. So we're going to use that. All right. Okay, so let's use the tape to help place the dies. So you just want to put it in right about where you want it. And I think I want it, actually, I can probably cover up my little hole that way because I don't want it to be a tag. Okay, so this one's done. And then this one. So what I might want to do though is I might want to color it first because I think it might be easier to color before I die cut. Okay, so I've used, so I want to use the blends from Pool Party and the Lost Lagoon and then the Cherry Cobbler. So I'm going to start with my little Cherry Cobbler, and I like to leave like a little spot of white on all my berries because then it looks like the sun is shining and it's leaving a little spot of white. It's not always easy to do with tiny little berries like this, but if you use the tip, that helps. And I kind of keep the shiny spot up at the top, okay? And then you can kind of figure out what color you want. So this is my light. And so like the bigger leaves, I'm going to go ahead and do the entire leaves for all these bigger ones. You can do all the littler ones with the darker if that's what you're wanting to do. So those are all the bigger leaves. And then I come back with the dark Lost Lagoon. And I just use it for one side of the leaves to kind of give it a 3D. Kind of just helps it pop off the page. because I'm going to have this garland sitting this way. So if I was doing it the other way, I would do it the opposite. So I'm just making the bottom side of all the leaves a little darker. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the pool party, using the lighter color first. Hopefully you enjoy coloring. It's just kind of soothing. You can listen to some great music, listen to a book. It's just a kind of a great way to kind of rest and unwind. Maybe you have a favorite television show and you just listen to it rather than watch it. Me, I have to watch. It's all about the facial expressions for me. All right. And we're done. So now we can add the dye. So I'm going to start at one end and then adjust the other end, and then just kind of check the middle, make sure it's where I want it to be. There we go. There we go. Okay, so now we can assemble all of this. So remember, this is already on the bag front. Hey, Linda. I don't mind if you're late. I'm not checking. Okay, so we're going to put this beautiful thing in the middle, but I want to add this first. So I want this to be behind and then to kind of be in front of the tag. So you can kind of see what I've done behind. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my dimensionals to the back and it will hold it together in place. So I want it to be a little behind and a little in front. And then we can add more dimensionals for the tag. Okay. So now I'm just adding it to my front, and I want my bottoms to be, the bottom and both sides to be even. Okay, and then let's add this beautiful little sentiment. And then we can place the birds. All right, and now we have the little die cut birds. And so then you can just add them wherever you need to. Let's put a dimensional behind each one of the birds. And I'll put one right here because I think it's going to get covered up. Nope, I probably don't want to do that. So let's add a smaller one down here. I love that we have two different sizes of dimensionals. Okay, and then I'll put a pearl over this hole. I don't want to cover up any of the sentiment. Okay, So you can see we've got the beautiful snowflakes showing. Hopefully you can see it with my camera. I am trying to figure out a different solution than my phone. I just am so unhappy with it all the time. Not a fan with how it reacts. Okay, so I'm putting 3 of these here. Gonna put 1 here, and I can put 1 up here close to the birds. So it's a little different. Now, if you want to take your bag to the next level, you can add holes, and you can add actually ribbon at the top. So be really careful though, because you don't want to add holes where these are. Okay, so what you'll need to do is you'll need to open up your bag. And then you can squeeze together the front and the back so that you're doing it at the same time. And then you probably should mark where you want your little holes to be. So let's center it on the 6. So then it's about the same. And I think I want it, just make sure it's the same. So I'm thinking about right here. And then all right, sorry if you couldn't see. I can't tell where the camera ends. Okay, so I've marked my bag so that I can punch holes in it, and then I can create a gift bag with straps. There's something really festive about that. So I went through the front and the back. You can get something like this, I think, at Hobby Lobby or Joann's. It's very handy for going through lots of layers. And I had 3 pieces of cardstock plus the bag, front and back. That's 5 pieces. So very, very handy. Okay, so I'm going to need to color more of my ribbon. Okay, so typically if you have a bag, and the best thing to do is to measure before you get started. So I want my bag handles to be about so big, and then we're going to probably need an extra inch or 2 for the knots at both ends. I'll show you what I mean. So that's about 9. So I'm going to make this 11 inches, and I'm going to do 2 of those. Okay, so now let's color them. We're going to color them the cherry cobbler. And when you're doing this at home, you might want to give yourself a little bit of time, because what I find is that it stains my fingers for a minute. And as you can tell, I got a little bit of the red on me from before. You want to check it, make sure that it's coloring both sides. And I just love a red buffalo check. So when you don't have the color that you want in ribbon, you just make it yourself. Isn't that pretty? May need a new marker here soon. You can tell I've had it for about 4 years. Cherry Cobbler is one of my favorite reds in the whole world. So I have used this marker lovingly for years, and it's starting to look like that. Looks like it's been well loved. You can get the duo, the light and the dark, for $9, and you get 2 markers. And like I said, I've used it a lot, so I think it works really well. Okay. All right, so now I'm just going to feed each end into the hole that I just punched, and I use the smaller 1/8 inch. Pull it out more than it needs to be, and then I'm just going to make it into a nice fat knot. Making sure my ribbon is straight. Pulling out more than I need. And you can pass it through a couple times if you want to make your knot fat enough. But honestly, this is not like it's going to be holding a brick or anything, so you don't have to get carried away. But these bags, all the work's been done for you. All you have to do is decorate the front, and you just add your ribbon to match, and you've got a great gift holder. And there we go. Isn't that fun? Super easy. Great ideas, little gifts. So I think I'm going to make these for little placeholders, just maybe with a different bird and more of a Thanksgiving look for my Thanksgiving table. We only have 5 this year, so that's okay. All right. Well, I hope you have a great evening. And I am not going to have my Facebook Live on Friday because I'm going to be out of town visiting grandchildren. And so I can't do that on Friday. I also will not be able to join you the following Friday because my husband's surgery is the 5th, and I need to be by his side for his recovery, unless I see that he's doing well. But it's he's going to probably still be in the hospital, so I'm going to have to be there ready for whenever they release him the next day. And then the following Friday, I'm going to be traveling in California, so I won't be able to be with you for a few weeks on Fridays, but I will continue to be here on Mondays. So I'll see you next Monday, and have a great week. Thank you so much for joining me. And if you're watching later on YouTube, please like and subscribe, share with a friend. And if you enjoyed this video, you can also put a heart on my video, and it gets a little bit more action on Facebook. So thank you, and I appreciate you watching. Again, it's Angela with Wild Violets Art.